Hey everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the BoldBrush Podcast, where we believe that fortune favors the bold. I'm your host, Laura, and before I introduce our guest for today, I wanted to let you guys know that we're on YouTube. So if you want to go and watch instead of just listen on your podcast platform, go ahead and just go on YouTube, look up BoldBrush, subscribe, and you'll find us there. And now, without further ado, I can introduce our speaker, who is Mario Robinson. And in today's episode, we're actually talking about some really cool stuff. We're talking about his life, some of his philosophy, his really awesome streamline videos where he teaches you watercolor portraiture, which honestly, I might get it because it's really awesome. And of course, we're also talking about his summer workshop that's coming up in 2022, where he does plein air. So let's start. Welcome, Mario. How are you?
Thank you, Laura. I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing really great.
That's
So
good.
for those of you who aren't aware of who you are and what you do, give us like a brief intro about you and your work.
Okay, so I'll go back to come forward. So I'm Mario Robinson. I studied art at Pratt Institute. I graduated in 1994. I declared myself a professional in 1994, December of that year. And I've been painting professionally for 27 years. I do watercolor, I paint portraits, I paint plein air, paint in oil, pastel, whatever I can get my hands on, I use it. And that's pretty much my story in a nutshell.
It's a good story. And I
Yeah.
mean, and it's kind of like, it's crazy how I'm honestly really unaware of the watercolor world. And when I saw your portraits, I was like, what? This is this is watercolor? Like that looks real.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, why did you fall into watercolor? Like, did you fall into it or did you choose it or?
Good question. So I'll piggyback on your reaction to watercolor.
Mhm.
When I when I was a student at Pratt Institute, I spent a good amount of time in the department chair's office because I went in as an illustration major, and I butted heads a lot with my teachers because I shouldn't have been an illustration major. I should have been in the fine art program. But fast forward, the department chair, he had a painting of Andrew Wyeth print called Master
Mhm.
Bedroom in his office. So every time I would go in there to get chastised or reamed out, I would pass this painting, and it didn't look like anything that they were teaching us. They were teaching us
Mhm.
oil paint, some acrylic, and I was fascinated by the light in this painting. So after I graduated, I think it might have been around 1995, I was in a library and just looking through the reference, I went through the A's, the B's, all the way down to the W's on the bottom. And I'm like, what is this? I didn't even know how to say Andrew Wyeth's name. It was so foreign to me, like who this guy was. Wyeth. Okay.
Mhm.
So I started looking through it, and I was born in Oklahoma. And I was used to looking at barns and horses and uh, landscapes. And then my family moved when I was 10 years old, we moved to the
Mhm.
Jersey Shore. So there was oceans and everything. So Andrew Wyeth was painting in Chatsford. He was painting barns and regular
Mhm.
people. And then he was painting during his vacation time in the summers, he would paint in Maine, and he would paint ocean. So it brought my two worlds together. So I'm taking a long way home, but that's why I love watercolor, because he was painting primarily in watercolor and some
Yeah.
tints, and the light that he was capturing was incredible. And that was always in the back of my mind. I was painting oils and pastels for about 10 years of my career when I first
Mhm.
started, but that never left me. That impression, was imprinted on me. And I just really wanted to capture light in that manner. And watercolor is the best way to do that outdoors.
Yeah, it's really true. And then, I mean, I'm an oil painter, so whenever
Yes.
I look at watercolor, I think I get a freeze response. So I'm like, because it's
Yeah.
so hard to control. It's so hard to,
Yes.
like, with oil, you can get away with so much, but then with like watercolor, it's like
Yeah,
it can
it
do what it
exposed you.
wants.
I am teaching at the New York Academy of Art
Mhm.
in Tribeca right now, the MFA program. And the elective that I'm teaching is watercolor. And
Mhm.
a lot of the artists are bringing a lot of their strong drawing skills. They're bringing their oil painting habits to watercolor. And it is
Yeah.
part therapy, part hand holding, because it really,
Mhm.
it it exposes you. And I just tell them to
Yeah.
just, if you're driving, sometimes, it's fun to just take your hands off the wheel and just experience that ride. And that's what watercolor is. If you try to get too heavy handed,
Mhm.
it will tighten up, and even worse things will happen, which is antithetical to other painting and drawing materials. You
Mhm.
have to be in control of every mark and everything that you're doing. So watercolor is like the opposite, in many ways.
Chaotic.
Yes, chaotic, chaotic. And
Yeah.
it must be part of my personality. Some people jump out of planes, some people bungee jump, and feel comfortable with it. And I love that more than the controlled mediums.
Wow. So watercolor is a thrill-seeking sport.
It is. It is.
Oh man, it's hilarious.
Yes, it is. It's thrill seeking for sure. When I step
Yeah.
away from watercolor, and in oil paint,
Mhm.
draw, I miss that that chaos.
Yeah.
I miss that unpredictability. I
Yeah, and
want to
you
be
got
perfect.
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I think the also nice there's another nice thing about watercolor, which is like I'm gonna quote Bob Ross and just say happy accidents,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which I feel you can get that more with watercolor.
Yes.
So I heard from Jonathan that
Mm-hmm.
you're a signature artist for BoldBrush, and I was looking at the templates the other day, and I was wondering why you don't have a template.
I don't have a template, and I have a few accomplishments in
Mm.
this arena, but that one's been haunting me for years. I've been with FASO
Mm-hmm.
since 2010,
Mm.
and I've watched artist after artist have these beautiful templates, and I would love just to offer I think I have pretty good style and taste. I would love to
Mm-hmm.
offer, put my hat in the ring and offer people the Robinson template. Come on, Laura.
Hmm. We might have that
Yeah.
opportunity then.
Can you see? Imagine how clean and beautiful it is. I do watercolors,
Yeah.
it almost
Yeah.
writes itself. You know, uh-oh,
Oh, uh-oh.
uh-oh. Hi, Clint. Oh no. Uh-oh. Laura,
Hey, Clint.
Laura, you
This
set
this
me up.
meeting this meeting is long overdue.
Yes, it is my pleasure to talk to you, to meet you, and thank you for in person almost for everything you've done for my career. FASO has really been instrumental in, allowing me to sell my work and get my work out there, in somewhat of the early days before Instagram and Facebook. So thank you.
Well, I just have to thank you for promoting us. And, we've been aware of your work for a long time. And it's one of those things that it's crazy how fast time flies. It seems like just yesterday I thought we really should reach out to Mario. And it seems like it's probably a few years since I said that. But
It's
just
crazy.
a supporter of ours. And
Yes.
just, we love your art and what you're doing and are behind it 100%.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Before there was Instagram and all the platforms, my lonely little website was out there promoting all of my my studio sales, my travels and everything. So it was really instrumental in those early days. Before I had a website, I was considering building my own website and got frustrated, and then just searched, and I was like, and a lot of my friends were on FASO. So that's also the good thing about word of mouth and having quality people on there. Jeremy Lipking, Joseph Todorovich, a lot of people that I kind of hung with, and that was like a mission statement. I was like, okay, well, there it is. So
Well, thank you for that. So one of the things we'd like to do is, if you're open to the ideas, so our parent company is named BoldBrush, and we have a concept of what we call a BoldBrush signature artist, which is kind of a sponsorship program that we run. And we would like to invite you to become a BoldBrush signature artist.
That would be great.
One of the things that we would want to extend as a part of this is to hook you up with our best web designer.
Okay.
If you're interested in this and design a custom site, it doesn't change your interface to FASO, but it would change the look of the site. We can completely customize your site however you would like. And this is sort of our equivalent of how an art supply company has signature brushes, so that we would create the Mario Robinson template.
Oh, this is happening. Is this happening? Uh-oh. Woohoo. How do I say no to that, Clint? Come on. That's crazy.
And normally we ask in return that maybe you promote us every now and then, but you're already doing that. So
I'm doing it. I'm just going to keep doing it and put my foot on the gas and do it even more. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not, the thing I like, Clint, about, something like this, a partnership, or the partnership that I have with Winsor Newton or anybody that I partner with, is not just a money grab or an opportunity grab. It's something that's actually helped me, and it's not a sales pitch. Being with you for over 10 years tells you that there's something in the water, and I have no reason to change it. I have no reason to look anywhere else. And that's just my comfort zone. That's what I feel comfortable with.
Well, we try every day to keep giving you more reasons not to look anywhere else.
You know what I was happy about just before? I know your time is valuable. The other day I received a newsletter about the new sales option moving away from PayPal, because I'm not a big fan of PayPal. And I kind of suspended some of my studio sales that I wanted to have to not have to go through PayPal. And now I received that newsletter, and it just brought me almost tears of joy. I was like, thank God. Thank you.
Yeah, that one took a lot of upgrading. We had to build a lot of technology to support that, which we built in 2020 and earlier in 2021. But we're really happy to be able to offer Stripe. And now that we've built that, the next payment option we plan to add is Square.
Oh, I have Square too. That's
cool. Yeah, I have it too.
That's so good.
Stripe runs circles around PayPal. I mean,
Really?
Yes, it's great. It's fantastic.
I'm already playing in my studio cell. When I got that newsletter the other day, I was like, I can finally, because what I was having to do was, since I don't use PayPal, I was having to put the work up there, and then they would have to contact me, through the message if they wanted the work, and it kind of slowed down a little bit of the sale, the last one I had. So this is, I can count the money right now. Like this is, you don't even know.
The other thing we'd love to do, and I didn't even talk to Laura and Jonathan about this, and maybe they can help find someone to help us do this, but we'd like to get hook you up with a professional photographer, or maybe you have professional photos, but photos of you in your studio.
Okay.
That we could use to promote your site on our front end website.
Sure. Yeah. If you could have someone, I can give them access to the studio, and they can kind of come, and we can just do it and get it polished up, so I'm not looking like circa 2018 out here. I just want to my best foot forward, just
post-pandemic pictures.
yes, because most of my recent stuff has been just plein air, painting on Nantucket, painting, giving workshops outdoors, and that's what I have a lot of. But as far as studio shots and things like that, that would be great if you could bring somebody out, and we can.
All right. Well, we'll find someone who can do that, and I'll contact you offline. I'll contact you by email to coordinate all of this.
That'd be perfect. That'd be so good.
And
we're bringing all the updates.
We're excited to add you to this program.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'll put on all the social platforms and let people know, hey, FASO's the way to go, man. It's the way to go. Clint's bringing all the updates.
There's our new tagline right there. FASO's the way to go.
FASO's the way to go. FASO is the way to go. And I can chart my growth. I can chart, because I can see, obviously, with the analytics, some of the stuff that I've gotten. Even I have 2 works in the embassy, U.S. Embassy in Africa, and I can see the State Department when it was happening. This is the second go around, but the Art and Embassies program is really important to me. And they discovered me through my website, just a search on my website.
Oh, awesome. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you know what they were searching for?
The Art and Embassies program is through, it was when Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State. And it's been a long-standing program that JFK started, and they've had Warhol, all these guys do the Art and Embassies program. They hold your art for 3 years in the home of the sitting ambassadors from France, Africa, wherever. And my first go round was in 2012, right after I kind of got my site. They contacted me, and they were the ambassador was looking for art in their home. And they just put in a search and found my website. And so my first go round was in the embassy in Indonesia. And now there's one in Africa in Malibu. Wow. This is really serious information. This is not like, if I didn't have a website, they could search all they want. Mm-hmm. But that was before social media. I wasn't on social media, so you have to have a place where people can go to see your art. And she chose the art from the website. That's an embassy in Africa and Indonesia.
Wow. Congratulations. That's a fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me. A lot of things like that have happened to me. I got my book deal that way. It's just, I'm not going to tout my accomplishments, but you have to have a website with a good search engine.
I 100% agree with that.
You approve that message. I'm sure.
I'm the founder of FASO, and I approve
that message. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You have to have a website. Social media is good, but you have to have somewhere where people aren't scrolling and distracted to have them look at your work. And you have to have good images and all that stuff up there that better than I. But Clint, thank you for all these gifts. It's almost like Santa Claus came through the podcast.
A little early.
So did we hijack your next segment, Laura?
No, you're good. You're good. This is actually perfect.
Breaking news. Clint, thank you so much.
Thank you. Seriously.
And I'm looking forward to all the partnering with you and all the opportunities that you're offering and making my website beautiful.
So great to meet you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a long time coming. I'm glad it finally happened.
Me too. Good. All right, I'm gonna turn it back over to Laura, if you don't mind.
Okay. Bye, Clint.
Bye. Bye, Mario.
Bye-bye. Take care.
So
that was fun.
That was a good surprise.
That was a good surprise. You guys set me up.
We did.
You set me
We've
up.
been planning this for a while. We actually I know I sent you an outline yesterday of what we were going to talk about, so it was a fake outline.
Yes.
We'll say fake. We're still going to talk about it.
It was a ruse.
We're still talking about some stuff, but yes, it was a ruse.
It's like stuff has been in the works.
Yes, we're hiding. So you mentioned actually to Clint about your book and the videos, your Streamline videos, I think you had mentioned. Yes. So tell us a little bit about your book and then also the videos, please.
Yes, of course. So in 2015, I wrote a book called Lessons in, one second.
Oh, you have it?
Ta-da!
Yay!
Look at that ugly
there
mug.
It is.
Yeah.
It's so big. Oh my God. When I looked at it online, I didn't expect it to be that big.
Yes. So I wrote that book, and it's entitled Lessons in Realistic Watercolor, and it's distributed by Penguin Random House. And when I was learning watercolor, there were a bunch of florals. Techniques were just splash and dash, and just really bright, bold colors, and just didn't appeal to me coming from a somewhat classical sensibility with oil and pastel. So after painting with watercolor for, at that time, 2015, maybe about 12 years, I decided to, I got approached by the company and I said, well, absolutely. So my book comprises, it starts with my inspirations, Winslow Homer, Andrew Wyeth, Thomas Akins, the American Masters, and then it goes to an introduction. It has materials chapter. There's some step-by-steps. So I'm really proud of it. And I have my inspirations in there, and I got, some really good images of my work. And as far as the videos, I have 2 videos with Streamline. The first video is a beginner version. So what I do is I show the importance of what I call a monochromatic block-in. And you go to GCA, correct? Or went to GCA.
I went, yeah.
You went to GCA. You sit by the GCA. And what you'll know is, with the grisaille or a block-in, you need to kind of have a mapping. You need to have something that kind of gets you out the gates. And with watercolor, you have to control chroma because it's very transparent. So if you put a red down on white paper, light will reflect back through that, and it'll be the reddest thing you've ever seen. Yeah. So with the beginner video, I show how to use the monochromatic block-in with a tonal gray value scale. And then I take them through the application of color on top of that. And then the other video is a little bit more advanced. I start with the monochromatic block-in, but I work really quickly through to a complete finish. Nice. So those are the 2 videos I have with Streamline, and they are available on Streamline's video website and lilypubs.com. It's produced by
we'll put the link in the bio and also on the YouTube in the description. So if anyone wants to check these out, just click the link in the bio or in the show notes. I was actually checking them out, and there's something really, what's really cool is that I know that you're very inspired by the old masters, and it's usually mentioned like Rembrandt and Vermeer. And what's really cool about the monochromatic approach that you do is, I was like, oh my God, this is indirect painting. You do this with oil painting. I didn't even know you could do that with watercolor.
That's right. That's right. I think with hobbyists and watercolorists, there's an age thing involved too. So some people come to watercolor either super early in life, where you have those little cakes and the little praying sets, or after they've retired, they come to it. So me coming from a world of oil painting and just a little bit more heavy on values and chroma and all that, I'm kind of like, how do you say, crashing the party when it comes to painting watercolor, because I'm bringing other sensibilities to watercolor. I think if I start out just as watercolor, I wouldn't see things the way I see them, so that's that's true. And I have noticed that, like, between mediums and stuff, they do inform each other in a certain way, kind of like how graphite helps inform you if you're going to work with charcoal, and then charcoal helps inform you if you're going to work with oils. So it kind of like they help each other out. Absolutely, they do help each other out.
Yeah,
that's right.
But since I've never tried watercolor, admittedly, I'm like, I might buy one of your videos, because I'm like, I don't know what I would even do.
Jump in on the advanced one, Laura. Just jump out there. Just jump out there. Let's do it.
Yeah. And then another interesting thing that I noticed I saw it on like the descriptions of your videos, and I was like checking out, I'm like, muffin tins?
Oh, yes.
Why did that happen?
Yes. And these are things, Laura, so when I started, there were so many things that people were doing that made no sense. So there's like on a plastic watercolor palette, you'll have like the little divots to put your paint, and then they'll have these little sections, and it's all about 1/4 of an inch. So imagine filling that up with watercolor and then painting a big 20 by 30 watercolor, you know, you're going to run out of watercolor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that happened to me a couple of times mid-stroke. And then you got streaking, and it just gets weird because it dries while you're mixing up watercolor. So I got so sick or tired of being sick and tired that I was like, okay, how about this? How about if I have enough watercolor, it's maybe an inch or two, maybe 2 inches in this muffin tin in each section. If I mix up, let's just say I mix up a Payne's Gray and a burnt sienna, rather than having a little bit to spread around this whole page, how about I have a little bit more and I won't run out, and I might have that for the whole day. How about that? So that's why I work with the muffin pans, because you can just fill up the sections and have enough paint for your session, and you can mix up different colors and work wet into wet and all that. So it's just a matter of having enough paint. That's all it is.
Oh my gosh. That's
it's
like
a whole different language.
Yeah. Modern solutions.
Yes. And it all, they say that necessity is the mother of invention, because there's so many things that I do now that's just out of survival, with the monochromatic block in, just not having my colors just go crazy on the paper, or the muffin pans. Even the way
You're
I
not cooking with those.
No, but they have to be white. I had a class on Nantucket, and this lady brought in some stuff from the dollar store, and it was like these dark gray literal muffin pans that you cook with, and I'm like, how can you see the color in that? No, that's too literal. I should have been very specific. They sell them at the art store, and they're white and they're plastic,
and they're huge.
And they are huge, and you have enough.
Yeah.
Andrew Wyeth used to fill up buckets of watercolor and throw them at the painting just to get that kind of like that chaos that you see, rather than rush. He used to fill up buckets of brown watercolor and just whip it and throw it at the watercolor, and it just makes a difference when you have a lot of free-flowing water. It's best when it's chaotic, and then you can kind of rein that in a little bit. But bitty, I mean,
it's not enough. I mean, unless you're making like a tiny painting.
Little baby, yes.
Little baby painting.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. But you work like much larger scale than that. So
yes, I work on a full sheet. Over the pandemic, I did 2 40 by 60s, and it was just, as soon as I heard the world was shut down in March, I started in April, and I have pictures on my Instagram. It's just like this, and it was just so great. I broke all.
Go big or go home.
Go big. Yeah. In the pandemic, so you had no choice but to be home. I was just locked in, and I think a lot of people started projects or learned a different language, or cook things they wouldn't normally cook because you're just trapped in your house. And the world shut down, it slowed down, and made some really, really big work, things that I wanted to do for a long time.
I think it was a really good opportunity to do that, because I found that like pre-pandemic, like I felt like I had no time to actually like experiment or to try something I'd never done with my work. And then with the pandemic, it was like, I have all this time now. I mean, obviously it was a tough time because, money was tight and everything, but you're still like, well, I should focus on something productive at least.
That's right. Make a positive, and we don't know how long. At that time, we didn't know how long it was going to go.
Yeah.
We had our health. Yes. So it was it was really good for my mental health, to work on the big problems, the big issues. And the world opened up, and then we lost a little bit of the, the anonymity and, the privacy, and now here we are. But it was really good.
We're on the other side.
Yes, we're on the other side. That's right. That's right.
So I wanted to ask you, actually, we're gonna cut over to the lightning round.
Okay.
So you have to answer immediately. So I'm gonna ask you some questions, and it's just an immediate pow pow answers. So get ready. All right. So question 1, Andrew Wyeth or Thomas Eakins?
Andrew Wyeth.
Okay.
Too
Portraits or
easy.
landscapes?
Landscapes.
Oils or watercolor?
Watercolor.
Okay.
Depending on the day.
Yeah. Plein air or photographs?
Plein air.
Synthetic or natural brushes?
The animal rights people are gonna kill me. Windsor Newton people are gonna kill me.
Oh.
Natural.
Okay. Realism or impressionism?
Ugh, tough one. Realism.
There you go. So, well, did you regret that?
Yeah. Because it is a lightning round. I want to be like in my own work or others. I like looking at impressionism much more.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then last one. If you could invite 3 painters over for dinner from any time period, living or dead, who would you invite?
Jean-Michel Basquiat, Banksy, Andrew Wyeth. I got it.
There you go. You probably have to sign a non-disclosure agreement if you invite Banksy.
That's the only reason he'd be there, is like, show me your face and I want your ID. Make sure it's you.
Yes. It's like, I wonder what it would be like to meet him.
I know. Non-disclosure. Yeah, he'd definitely make me sign it. But I'm just so curious as to who and what he is.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like he'd be so normal looking. Probably be a normal person.
I know. Great business mind.
And then actually there is one more question. I just forgot. But 80s or 90s?
80s or 90s?
Yeah.
Just in general, as
a time period, maybe in your life, you know.
80s.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
I was
80s?
in the army. I was in the army in the late 80s. So
cool.
yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Yes.
So actually that segues into my next little question. Army or Navy?
Army, and there's a big game coming up this week, Army versus Navy, and yeah, we're gonna get them. We're gonna get them. Army all day. Go Army.
And then one more, actually. 80s, like you mentioned, or early 2000s?
Early 2000s.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Why early 2000s?
Because that's when I was really starting to get some traction. I had a sellout watercolor show in 2005. I'd been working hard from 2003 to 5 to get those watercolors to where people could look at them and not be grossed out. That's literally where my start started rising. So I felt really good about where I was as an artist, you know, in general.
Interesting. That beat out the Army.
Yeah, it's hard because it's like late 80s was the Army, and then getting out, and 90 to 94 was art school. So it's like back to back. Both of those times were just so big in my life, but just the Army and the responsibility and really grew me up. It gave me discipline as a person. So it gave me something very different than my art. Although I was drawing in the barracks and still being active with my art, it was really key and instrumental in my maturation as a person. So.
Oh yeah, I feel like it gives you a sense of self-discipline. I feel like that's what people really learn from it, and you apply that more readily to your other aspects of your life. So I see it from like that, I guess, foundational perspective of I gotta get shit done.
Yes,
that I do it.
And other people are depending on me as a platoon. You know, if I don't If I don't do it, it spills over into the whole platoon. So
Yeah.
it's not just about yourself,
Right.
you know. So
I like that. I like that. And I'm gonna circle back actually because I was really curious when I was looking at the descriptions of your videos, how you mentioned, I think in one of them that I saw, you mentioned that there's, I guess, like a painterly difference between like the synthetics and the naturals.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
like why, because in your lightning round you mentioned you like the natural ones more.
Yes.
What do they offer? And then like compared to like, for example, like Winsor and Newton synthetic brushes, like what's the difference there?
So I applaud Winsor Newton and any company that are making the transition and trying to be more kind, you know, to the animals. I've just been painting with the sables since I became, since I became affiliated with Winsor Newton circa 2010. Before that, I was painting with squirrels, which is still bad, but they weren't the best thing to be painting with. I know it sounds like a serial killer episode.
It just sounds like you're putting an actual squirrel.
Squirrels, foxes, Siberian fox. Yeah, but just real quick, the sables, the way that the Series 7 brushes that I use from Winsor Newton are engineered, they have what's called a belly, and a ferrule where they crimp it and hold just a lot of water. So if you dip it in the watercolor and you kind of have it up like this, you can kind of have a reservoir for when you really need it, when you're approaching the paper, when you're applying it. And it just endlessly, the hair holds so much water and releases it. And they come to a really fine point. So you can, one moment you can go from a big flooded wash with the same brush, and then you can go and get some small little line like detail work in there if you're going to dry brush it or whatever. With the synthetics, because they're synthetics, they don't hold as much water.
Right.
So they come to a beautiful point because synthetics do have a little bit more of a kind of organized way of gathering, but they don't have that flooding. They're close. They're really close. I really love them, but I can tell, even if someone wanted to trick me, I can tell. And it's a small differentiation, but it's not. Put it this way, if there were no more natural brushes, I could still paint quality work and do what I need to do with the synthetics.
Right.
They're just that good. They are that good.
Yeah.
And the price
I've also, the price point is another thing. I feel like natural brushes tend to be pretty expensive.
Yes.
Also, like, I guess to like push people, away from like using animal products. But I also, with my paintings, I've also noticed like a huge difference between like synthetics, and then sometimes I use boar bristle. And it's surprisingly really smooth. Like with oil paint, you would think it's scratchy. It's absolutely not. It's so smooth.
It has give to it. Yes.
Yeah.
Give.
So yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten like brush strokes that are similar to that boar bristle, like with synthetic ones.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, they're working on it. Oh, they're working on it.
They are working.
Yeah. And now for a sponsored break. So as you heard from Mario himself, FASO is really amazing. And also this podcast would not be possible without FASO. So thank you, FASO. And as you heard from Mario also, it is just such an amazing platform. The website building is so easy. Like if you're watching this or listening to this, you're probably an artist yourself, and you might be looking for a place to make your website, and you are or have been struggling with other website building platforms that aren't specifically designed for artists, which FASO is. So I highly suggest, getting on there. Go to faso.com/podcast, go check it out. I have my website also on FASO, and it is so easy to use. The templates are gorgeous. I'm really excited to check out Mario's template. And it's not just that, like yeah, the website itself is beautiful. Your artwork looks amazing. Like it's perfectly showcased and highlighted. But also, like they have really awesome art marketing classes and really great features. Like they recently, like you just heard, they recently updated and now they have Stripe and not just PayPal. So like there's a lot of really cool stuff going on. So go check it out. It is faso.com/podcast. So I was thinking now we could do some of the Q&A that we did on Instagram. So I'm going to pull up some questions. Maybe like 5 questions, we'll see.
Okay.
And so we can give some of your fans shout outs also. So let's see. I actually really like this question. And it's by Kyle V. Thomas. He says, my question, do you ever battle against self-doubt? If so, what are your weapons?
Okay, so Kyle's a wonderful artist from Scottsdale. That sounds like something he would ask. I've sat down with him before when I was there. So do I struggle with self-doubt is the question. I think as humans in every aspect of our lives, art would be any different. We all struggle. I think if you say you don't, you're being disingenuous. The things that I struggle with might be different than what you struggle with, Laura, or what Kyle struggles with. But there's always a constant, it's not a lot of different things, but I'll just say with me, there are struggles. Yes, of course. And self-doubt creeps in there. But the more you, I guess, kind of focus on the positives, focus on the good things, the good feelings from your work day, because not everything's wrapped up in technique and competition, the more you can actually lean into that and see what you're actually getting from your art. I mentioned the pandemic. I'm not exaggerating, it was good for my mental health. So how can I have self-doubt when I'm focusing on escapism, and my art's been there for me in so many different tough situations in my life. I was drawing in the barracks when I was in the Army. So I've used my art for so many good things, and it's brought me some good things. I don't have time to focus a lot on the self-doubt, but there are times when you're up against big challenges, when you're putting your heart and your soul into your work, whether you're releasing a book or a video, or you're wondering how people are going to perceive it, it's going to come out right, or a podcast, there's always that little voice in there like, are you doing enough? Are you good enough? But not too often that it shuts me down.
That's good. Yeah. Do you feel like it's improved with time, or does it get better?
No, it's the opposite. When you have a lot of success, I don't like the word fame, but when you have a lot of success and you're doing a lot of interviews and people like your work, and with social media, it's brought a lot of different people to the party, like young people, that didn't know me before. My struggle is more with staying grounded, not believing all the voices, whether it's negative or positive, that are coming at me. That's more my struggle than self-doubt. I have to fight myself with saying, don't believe all of that hype. Don't believe, all of the things that people are saying, whether they have agendas or not. So my struggle is a little different on this side of it, to be honest.
That's interesting.
I hear my name so much.
Stuff to look forward to in the future.
I get so sick of hearing my own name. It's ridiculous. I see it in print. I hear it. You see it in emails. So you have to fight. You have to really push that down. And I know who I am, and remain humble.
Yeah, I would think it would be the opposite. Like, oh my God, I've done so much, and all these people are saying such nice things about me. I should feel good. Ooh.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I'm gonna have to. No. I'm gonna follow your steps and stay humble and just
that's right.
Not listen.
Laura, it's so great. Laura, you're doing such a great job. Laura, can you do a podcast? Can I get a picture with you, Laura? It's like, Laura.
So people ask you for pictures. That's really awesome though. But oh my God.
I know.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit disenchanting now.
It's still worth it, Laura. Stay with it, but it is something.
Oh, I'm staying with it.
it's something that, let's just say if you're a pretty person, right?
Mhm.
And you are walking down the street, or you are going to parties, or you're in different places, what do you think you're going to hear a lot? You're so what?
Pretty. Oh my God. Yeah, it does get, you know what? You're right. It would get like exhausting.
One person, yeah.
Yeah, you become like, I guess, jaded about it. It's like, okay, cool.
Got it. I'm pretty.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next question. Let's see. This is from, Lexi Hannah Art, and she says, Mario's work is fantastic. My question would be, is there any particular advice or wisdom you received throughout your creative journey that helped you flourish in your artistic practice?
Any advice? Unfortunately, I don't remember any that was really that pivotal. I grew up in a time where it wasn't like DMs and Instagrams, and I wish there was more when I was maturing. I think maybe at that time, the people that were most instrumental in my life were gallerists. There's more the business relationships, the people at Windsor Newton, and a little bit more of the affirmation that I was doing something right in my practice. But as far as advice and stuff, I think we as artists are a little more sheltered. So when I came up, it wasn't this share,
it wasn't like DM me or like, oh, someone said the nicest thing to me through Instagram.
Right. And that luckily I didn't have that. Luckily,
Okay, then I guess I'm going to flip the question a little bit, and I'm going to say, what advice would you have wanted someone to give you in that time of your career when you were like starting out in your artistic journey?
I wish, whether it was at art school or an artist that was of any prominence, I wish someone would have given me a little bit of insight on the business part of things. I wish there was like a BoldBrush kind of out there.
Yeah.
Not to plug BoldBrush, but seriously, something like that, marketing tools, or how to take care of your taxes quarterly rather than waiting at the end. How to promote myself and manage my work practice, and I'll be on Instagram all day calling business promotion. So I wish that someone would have not held my hand but told me that's something I need to focus on alongside trying to get better as an artist. That's what I wish.
And that's also how we survive.
Mm-hmm.
Survive is kind of an extreme thing. It's how we make a living.
And
I did read, I was reading a book the other day, and it was interesting because the author in the book, he says, when you're a baker, you're not in the business of baking, you're in the business of selling what you're baking. That's how you live. Like,
that's correct.
This is what you need. So it's the same with painting.
That's right.
So it is a really important thing, which is why, like, I think, things like BoldBrush have been or are starting to be really helpful. I see like there are tons of books coming out on like the business of making art, or the business of living from your creative passion, which I think is really great. It's unfortunate you didn't get that when you were younger. But you're still doing great.
Yeah, thank you. Way to go. Thanks,
you did it. You pulled through.
You're still doing great. I love
You're
that.
doing great.
You're still doing great.
Yeah.
We're still, stay with it. Yeah. But we are all different. Just to wrap it up, my advice to you might not be one size fits all. So the advice I can give you, there are certain things that kind of we all can do. There are certain things, they're nuanced things as far as business, but yeah, I wish someone would have told me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. That's what a lot of artists
Okay.
ask me. So I
Oh
know
yeah.
something that's important.
And I think let's just do one more. Oh, I like this one. Okay. This is by Lisa Lebowski, and she says, your work has a beautifully enticing and harmonious engagement with space and existence. Is this palpable energy a love of material, subject, process, something from your nascency, or?
She answered her own question. Like it's materials, it's emotion, it's you know, I'll hit on the materials first. If you don't know what you're doing with materials, if you're
Yeah.
working with the wrong material, you can have all the ideas you want.
Mhm.
You know, but I think that you should have that first, especially with watercolor. You should, if you're gonna do watercolor, you should have that first. You should have that in the bag, so you don't have to worry about it when you get out there on the ocean or you're out there in nature. Um, the first thing for me, aside from materials, is composition. If it's not an interesting thing
Mhm.
to look at, you know, if you just phone it in and you you're just painting it and it's not interesting,
Yeah.
then who cares? And then me, when I get out there, I'm a very I can separate what I'm doing now from
Mhm.
being in the studio or painting. I'm a very different person than people have confronted. Um, whether it's the written material, whether it's the videos, whether it's this.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'm very, very different because I'm very emotional.
Yeah.
You know, I have a lot of energy when I'm out there painting.
Yeah.
So as you know, you're here with me, but if
Mhm.
we were in the studio or we were out painting, you'd be a very, very different individual.
Mhm.
So I bring a lot of things to the table that aren't unique, as do you. I bring a lot of
Mhm.
emotion. Like if I'm looking at
Aw.
at the ocean, I can darn near cry. I can just,
Aw.
and I'm putting all that into it. If I'm painting an older
Mhm.
person,
Yeah.
I'm really trying to get into that person's psyche. Um,
Right.
you know, the way their eyes are diminishing, their hearing might not be what it was, and I'm really trying to bring that to bear. Um,
Yeah.
so when
And I
people look at
think,
my work, that's what they
sorry,
feel.
continue.
No,
Yeah.
that's in a nutshell. I think that's what people are feeling is I care.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
care.
And I think I did hear in another interview of yours, that you painted your grandma a lot.
Yeah, yeah. In particular, that's what I'm
Mhm.
talking about. I have an image of her in the book where she has this fur coat, and she had never really been outside. She was um, just really quickly. She was shot in the head by a jealous
Oh my
boyfriend at a
gosh.
bar at 35, and
I'm
she continued to
sorry.
drink with a bullet in her head. Yeah, yeah, it's fine. And she had a stroke and lost the left side of her her body and was
Mhm.
handicapped and was in nursing homes by the time she was 40. And I never really saw her outside or have a conversation because her speech was slurring. But if you look in her eyes, if you look at um, the way her mouth is composed, you can tell it's almost locked because she doesn't need it. And
Mhm.
these are things that I want to show people because I believe is universal. You have a mother, you have a grandmother, um, you know, and I think these are things, whether they're doing good, whether they're doing bad, um, we can kind of celebrate the good times. We could also look at the bad times and say, well,
Mhm.
you know, she's still with you, and
Yeah.
celebrate that, get something good out of that. So when people look at my work, they're getting that kind of emotion, um,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So
When I look at your work, I do get that feeling of like the stillness and like it's
mm,
almost like the person is the story. Because I know you really you
yeah,
like do these narrative ones, but it's really interesting how the even just the portrait itself, like the story of that person is in their features. It's in the way
mm,
they're looking and just
thank
everything on them is the
thank you,
story. You're
thank you,
welcome.
yeah, thank
It's
you.
beautiful.
Aw, aw.
It makes me want to get into my portraiture like like really
Like,
hard. Like, just gotta do it. Yeah.
mm.
Ugh. Get those
Especially
stories.
that lived life. Sometimes when I'm
Mhm,
scrolling on Instagram, a lot of people are, and you studied GCA, I study with a lot of
mhm.
other stuff, and they're young and they hold a pose, and that's great. But that
Yep.
lived life, this topography of someone's face,
Mhm.
even as I get older and I do self-portraits, they're very different than my younger self-portraits. And I can see the effect of time. And I think when you look at a portrait like that, when you look at Rembrandt's portraits
Yeah.
as an older artist, they're more palpable than the younger
Mhm.
ones when he's full of life, because we all know the end is coming. It might not be near,
Yes.
but you've lived so much life and you saw so much, and he has that look in his eyes that we can't
Yeah.
get away from.
Yeah. And I feel like in every artist like early work, especially like there's like you also mentioned this in another interview, that innocence that like I can totally see when in that interview you mentioned like how you want to retain that innocence like when you're
Mm,
working and not be
mhm.
pulled out of it when you're making a new painting and when you're working.
Yes, yes. Like I talked to you before about being jaded or kind
Hmm.
of believing the hype and stuff like that. I want to live in that bubble, that mental space where anything is possible. I still believe in magic, um, and it's you have to shuck all that off when you go
Hmm.
into the studio or painting outdoors, and just get to the real thing that you're chasing. Chase that, the fame or the attention of the likes or the comments, get that out of there and just really
Yep.
focus on what you're doing in the moment, without a lot of baggage. And there's a lot of bad things going on, and not
Hmm.
channeling that in your subject matter, what you want to capture, and just have that gift that you were blessed with as a kid, and just do that, from that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah. It's
innocence.
like your inner child just comes out and like
That's
nothing else
right.
matters.
I have no expectations. Is it going to
Yes.
sell? Is it not going to sell? It's going to be good. It's going to be bad. I don't
Yes.
care. I don't care. I'll care later when I
Hmm.
market it, if it's okay.
Yeah.
But I really want to go through this with some semblance of innocence, you know,
Yeah.
as
That's
as
beautiful.
as creative. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's actually really great advice because I've also found myself like freeze response sometimes in front of a canvas because you just have, especially when I was a GCA,
Mm-hmm.
or like in
Mm-hmm.
any program, like you're
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by, your friends or like other students, and you just feel like everyone's watching
A lot
and
of
you just
talent.
like
Yes.
yeah, and
Yes.
everyone's really good and you're just like, holy crap, like you're just in front of this canvas and you're like, I already failed and I didn't even start and I already failed.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It, those voices creep in, and
Hmm.
like, but what, like, if you ever watch a child like create something and show you, they're looking at you like,
Yeah.
they're looking in your eyes like, look what I did, and
Hmm.
looking for your reaction. And it's most of the time not that great because it's not matriculated and doesn't have the baggage of art education on it. But
Yeah.
there's something in it,
Hmm.
that we all need to actually try to get back to. I think Andy
Yes.
Warhol or one of the artists, um, I forgot which artist said, I think it might have been Degas, talking about the innocence of a child and wanting to get back, trying to stay
Hmm.
with that innocence, because there's
Yeah.
something in it. It might be naive, but there's something in it. So that's what I was
Yeah.
trying to say, Laura.
That's very zen. I like that. I'm
Yes,
gonna have to remind myself when I'm painting. Like,
yes.
what would my inner child do?
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah. And then you mentioned plein air. So I wanted to ask you about your upcoming summer plein air workshops.
Yeah. Yeah. So summers belong to plein air. Let's just
Hmm.
say that the last 2 years um, I did 2 residencies on Nantucket, uh, year before last, and last year I did one this past summer. And
Hmm.
this summer coming up in 2022, I will be partnered up with Travel Right and international artists. So they are um, trying to get back to bringing people into
Hmm.
these groups. They normally do international trips, but they're going to use me as a guinea pig
Yay.
to bring people domestically.
Right.
So on August 1st through August 6th, we will be painting on Monhegan and Port Clyde. And I'm especially excited. That's where Andrew White vacationed and painted. Jamie White lives out there in Monhegan. And the light in Maine is absolutely incredible. And I'll be giving demos, and we'll be visiting galleries. And then we're going to go from August 7th to the 13th. We're going to go to Cape Cod, which is still Maine, but it's just a different part of Maine, which is Provincetown, and it's a place called Sandwich, which is one of my favorite. Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about this trip, Sandwich. And the same thing, I'll be doing demos, and we'll be eating together, painting together. And it's just a wonderful way to celebrate this coming out of the pandemic. And hopefully by then we'll be a little bit further ahead, and we won't be having to wear masks and all that good crossed. And we'll put the links up, but
so people can sign up, because that sounds really awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a watercolor planner, or is it also oil?
It is watercolor.
Oh, cool.
There
That's
are
dangerous.
crazy watercolor enthusiasts. When you think about Maine, they love the light out there is just so incredible. So when you think about Andrew Wyeth, when you think about Winslow Homer being out there in Maine painting watercolors, there's some kind of subculture where artists, or even Jamie Wyeth, when you think of people that paint watercolor and try to capture that light, very distinct light in Maine, there are people that want to see how magic works, and we're going to be out there braving the elements in the summer, doing it. Yes.
Braving it and doing some magic with
That's
chaotic
right.
as heck watercolor.
That's
Making magic out of chaos. I like that.
that's right. That's right. It's a fun thing to be doing, especially in summer. You don't have to lug a lot of stuff. Watercolor is very portable.
And it dries relatively quickly, which is nice.
Especially in all that sun in August,
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's a challenge. Okay.
What could go wrong, Laura?
When you're already in like a cloud of chaos, I mean, it doesn't even matter.
I need the excitement. I need the craziness, I need it. Don't judge me.
It's just funny because it's interesting because your paintings are like very still and like very quiet, but then like the act of making them is not. So it's really cool. Like, comparison there.
Yes, and when I paint oil, like I took a trip with New Wave Art, and we went out to Maine, and it was just a different way of doing it. They have beautiful shot boxes, and it was just very and my inner oil painter was like, yes, we got the crazy petulant child that is watercolor out of the room. Now we can actually slow down and build some fog and paint some sunsets, use those brilliant colors. So I do love painting oil and plein air and stuff like that. It's a total different way of approaching it. It's not as quick and spontaneous. You can actually get some beautiful effects with so
I like that.
I love it all.
So I think we're like nearing the end now, so thank you so much for being here. This was a really awesome, chill, zen chat.
Yes, that's what I'm bringing. I'm bringing the zen, bringing the peace and tranquility. I keep the chaos with watercolor. Keep that over there.
Yes, you just like.
That's right. That's right.
Compartmentalize your chaos.
That's exactly right. Compartmentalize my chaos.
Yeah. So congrats on the custom site, by the way. I hope that was like a really awesome
I'm so
surprise for you.
Excited. I can't tell you how excited I am, honestly. And to meet Clint, that was other than meeting you, that was a highlight.
Awesome. So guys, If you want to check out his really awesome book, go to his website, which, by the way, your website is
mariorobinson.com on FASO.
awesome. And then we're also going to link it on the show notes and in the YouTube description. And then also, if you want to check out his really cool videos, which I'm really considering getting the advanced one just to try watercolor, you can also find it on your website, right? Or is it just
Yes,
on?
if you go into the
Okay,
store
cool.
section of my website, or you can go to lilypubsorder.com.
And then we'll also link that. And then to sign up for Mario's upcoming workshop, I know it's like really early to be mentioning it, but I think now that it's getting colder, we're all like, ooh, I want it to be summer again. So it's a good
That's
thing to
right.
look forward to.
That's right.
So you can also, sign up for those and
right.
on his website, or we'll also have the link in the bio and in the, not in the bio, sorry, in the description or in the show notes. So yeah, thank you so much, Mario.
Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you for having me. And I really,
course.
really hope that you try watercolor.
Oh, you're tempting me to try it. So as you saw, I had a really awesome time talking to Mario Robinson about his amazing watercolors, his life, his streamline videos, his book, and just his whole life experience with his work. And it was really awesome talking to him. I hope you all enjoyed it. And please, if you are on YouTube, like, subscribe, maybe leave a comment. And if you're on Spotify, Apple, please also like and subscribe there. And I hope to see you on the next one.